Okay, today we are going to talk about the next topic about programming, right? So you know that this course is about C programming, but today I will talk about or introduce you about how can you program as a problem solving. Okay, you all have known that when we have a problem, what should we do? So we have to try to get the solution for your problem, right? And today I will introduce you how to solve computer problem. Let's say it's not the general problem, right? It is about the problem that can be solved by computer. So in order to do that, maybe we have to think about or decompose your problem into the smaller problem, and then you can get what we call algorithms. Right? That I will talk about what algorithm is today. And instead of using algorithm, you can also use the pseudocode in order to implement your solution. In order to solve your solution, right? So today, this is the outlines that I'm going to talk today. That is, I will introduce you about how to solve the problem by using programming. And then I will show you or talk about the description of algorithm and pseudocode. And then I will go to some kinds of the control structure or construct in programming. For example, I will talk about if statement and while statement, but I'm not trying to go into detail about C programming on that way. So I just want to show it in terms of like flowchart, and we show you about how to write flowchart in order to implement or to solve the problem. And then the last one, we will talk about the loop, right? It could be, there are two kinds of the loops, like counter control repetition and sentinel controlled repetition. And the last one, we are going to talk about the nested control structure as well. So, okay, let me introduce the program, right? Before we write a program, what shall we do? So first of all, when you are trying to solve a problem, what shall we do? So you may have to start from the idea or the number of the solutions that can solve this problem. Maybe there are more than one solutions for your problem. So before you write a program, right, you have to understand the problem. First of all, you have to define your problem domain, right? What does it mean by problem domain? You may have to define the number of your problems, right? You have to understand your problem carefully. Maybe you have to think about the conceptual model of your problem. And then you have to carefully plan an approach for solving it. In this way, you can find only one approach or one method, right? But maybe you can come up with different solutions. And from different solutions, you have to check, you have to plan, you have to design, and you have to analyze until you can get one method or one way to solve it. And then after you get an idea of the solution, you can go to the phase of writing a program. So in this term, you may focus on just only C programming. So you have to focus how to convert that solution into C programming. So what you have to do is you have to know what building blocks are available. Building blocks are available, right? Or sometimes you need to know the syntax or the format of C programming, right? So you can use that programming language appropriately, right? So in this way, you may have to know how to use good programming principles, right? Okay, I've talked about algorithm, right? So what does it mean by algorithm? I'm quite sure that you all know about this name, right? This the name of algorithm, right? When we talk about algorithm, we can think about it of a set or a solution of how to solve the problem. So when we think about computer algorithm in terms of the computing problems, right, all can be solved by executing a series of actions in a specific order. What does it mean by this? Oops. That is my pen. Okay, for computing, you have to first we have a series of action, right? So in a specific order, these are keywords, right? So when we talk about algorithm, right, it is a procedure in terms of actions to be executed, a series of actions to be executed, and the order in which each actions are to be executed. The order, okay, order is important. Why is that? Because we have a series of action, right? But it needs to be in order. Otherwise, it will not be called algorithm. Okay. So when we talk about an algorithm, right, you need to define a set of actions, and a set of actions will be in order, right? And the last term that you may have to know that is program control, because it needs to be in order. So you have to specify order in which statements are to be executed. So you need to specify order as well. So when we talk algorithm, we need to know a series of actions. A series of actions has to be in a specific order, and those specific order, this specific order will have to be specified. Okay, so you will have a sequence of actions or instructions, right? But you need to make it in order. This one is a 1, 2, 3, 4 actions, right? But in computer programming, it might be like from 3, right? When you execute 1, 2, 3, maybe 3, you have an if clause and then can go back to 1, like this. Okay, so if it's the order, but it's not necessarily to be like 1 will be come from 3 all the time. Maybe it is like 1, 2, 3, and then go back to 1, 2, 3 again, right? Until a specific of time, maybe it will go to 4 and then to the program termination, something like this. Okay, so that's why we need to have a program control here. Okay, any question? Okay, as I just tell you today is an easy lesson, right? Okay, I will go to the next slide. Pseudocode. Pseudo means to pseudo. What does it mean by pseudo? In Thai is Chiam. What about in English? English is pseudo. Code means code. Pseudo means it's not exactly the code, right? It's just an informal language of how to specify the code. Okay, or sometimes, okay, in English you can call it artificial code. Okay, so this is the meaning of the pseudocode, artificial informal language that helps us develop algorithms. So it is similar to everyday English, right? And not exactly executed on computer. It cannot be executed on computers. Just only us, like a human being, can understand what we call the pseudocode. Pseudocode can be written in any kinds of language, but you have to know and understand what is going on that code, right? Pseudocode helps us think out a program before writing it. So it is easy to convert into a C program. And it consists only of executable statements. This is what we call pseudocode. Okay. And the next one is the control structure. As I told you that if you have a series of instruction or commands, but you also need to have the control structure as well. So you all have to know about the type of the control structure, right? The first one is sequential control structure or sequential execution. What does it mean by sequential? Sequential means the execution of the program will be execute one after another. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, like one after another. Statements will be executed one after another in the order written, right? And then transfer of control. Sometimes we may transfer the control of the execution by using like go to statement or return statement. That we are going to talk about this later, right? But transfer of control is when the next statement executed is not the next one in the sequence. What does this mean? So normally when you design the control statement, it has to be like in this order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But transfer of control might be like, okay, normally when you go to 4, you want to go, the next statement will be 5. But in 4 statement, it will be go to, like go to or go back to the first statement. So this is why we call, this is what we call transfer of control. When the next statement executed is not the next one in the sequence. But I don't suggest you to use go to statement, okay? Because it can lead you to many problems. We call spaghetti style. Spaghetti style. I'm not going to ask you to use go to in C programming. Even you can use go to statement in C programming. But this can cause what we call spaghetti style. What does it mean by spaghetti style? When you eat spaghetti, do you know that when you be the last or the end of your spaghetti that you are going to eat? You never know, right? So this is the same thing as when you write a program, right? You need to know the instruction one after another, step by step, right? And then you know what will be the end of your program. But when you write a program in in the form of like a spaghetti style. You will not know the end. Okay, so I don't suggest you to write to use go through. So all program can be written in terms of three control structure. The first one is sequential. Sequence, selection. Selection is a kind of if clause or if else or switch in C programming. Right? You have to select where you will go. And the last one is the repetition or iteration. Right? You can use this for the loop programming. Okay, loop programming. So in C program, you can use while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Okay, that we are going to talk about this later in the lab, in your laboratory. So this is an example of control structure, right? From this figure, you can see this will represent a flowchart, right? So here I'm going to tell you about how to write a flowchart. From this flowchart, you can see the circle here, right? We call this connector, right? If you want to connect from one page to another, right? Because you cannot write flowchart in just only one page, right? But if you want to continue from your previous page to this current page, you can use connector. And this flowchart, you can see this rectangle. A rectangle represent what? Represent a process or execution. For this example, if you want to add grade to total, what does it mean? You want to add grade if you have a grade, right? But you need to sum it up, right? So into this variable total. Total can be defined in a main memory, right? This total, right? And also in main memory, you can have a grade. But you need to find summation. Total is a kind of the summation of grade. Okay, summation of grade. So what you need to do is you just want to add grade into a total. For this example, if you have a 13 collected in or stored in grade variable, and total will start from 0, right? From this example, grade which stores 13 here, right? But total initially has been set to 0, right? So in this way, what you have to do is you have to add this one, 0 plus 13. So you can get 13, right? And then once you get 13, you need to assign this value back to total again. So now total is not 0 anymore. It will be 13. So this is the way that this command or this instruction do or does. Okay, so the left one here, the left figure here, we call flowchart. The right one here, they are C program. C program. Okay. Let's see another one. This is also the other process here can be written in rectangular again. So it can be called it's a process, right? So if you want to add 1 to counter is another variable, right? So you can use counter equal sign, counter plus 1. Okay, if you can see that this sign, equal sign here, right? But in C programming language, right? This is equal sign. But C programming language, we can call this assignment state or assign symbol. Assignment symbol. Assignment symbol. Okay. Okay, I've just talked about flow chart, right? I've shown you the flow chart right here, right? This is an example of flow chart. What does it mean by flow chart? Flow chart is a graphical representation of an algorithm. In order to write an algorithm in terms of the English style, you can use the graphical notation in order to represent this algorithm. You can draw using certain special purpose symbol, right? And connected by arrows, we call flow lines, right? And I've just told you that rectangle symbol will represent the action symbol, right? To indicate the process. And oval symbol, right? Indicate the beginning and the end of a program, right? So when you want to start a flow chart, you need to start from an oval, right? Begin. And you can use begin. And then you can do anything, many process. And then you can finish with this end. You have to end up with this end. So the oval symbol will indicate the beginning or end of program or section of code, right? The next one, single entry and single exit control structure. You connect exit point of one control structure to entry point of the next one, right? That's what you call control structure stacking, right? Single entry or single exit. So as we just, that's like the circle, right? To connect from one page to another, right? It would be the single exit, right? If you do many things in the flowchart and then you go to at the end of the page, right? And you want to connect this one to the next page, you can use this one. This is a single entry, single exit, right? And then for the other page, you can start with this one, and then you can go on with your process. Okay. Okay, this is a simple flow chart. Okay, next we'll go to if selection statement. So in computer programming, you cannot just need to use a series of action, right? In computer, the most important, I would say the most important statement that you need to have in a computer is the selection statement. You can use if clause. If clause means if else or if alone to select or to choose whether ways you will go, right? So in the selection structure, you will use to choose among alternative courses of action, right? For this example, in the you can write in the pseudocode, if student's grade is greater than or equal to 60, right? Print passed, right? If it is greater than or equal to 60, right? You can get passed. So if condition true, you print the statement, execute, go to the next statement. But if false, print statement is ignored and the program goes on to the next statement. What does this mean? This if this statement is true, so print pass print statement executed, and program will go to the next statement. Next statement means the statement right after this. But if false, this print pass will not be executed. It will go to the next statement immediately. Okay, before we go to the next slide, you can see indent here. Indent. Do you know indent? Jona. We use indent in the case that we want to make the program to read easily, right? Because we want to show that print pass here is the statement that will concern to this if clause. What does it mean by that? It means that if this true, if this selection statement is true, so print pass will be executed. Okay, it means that it's like and C programming will ignore white space character. White space character mean blank or no character, right? Or space character, right? C will not compile these white space characters. Okay, this is a good programming practice. 1. Consistently apply responsible indentation conventions greatly improve program readability. Okay, you need to use indent carefully, right, in order to make your program readability. Okay, you can practice this later on. Normally, you can use 1/4 inch or 3 bank character for indentation. But in this book, I mean the detail book, we use 3 banks for 1 indent. And the next good example practice, pseudocode is often used to think out a program during the program design process. Then the pseudocode program can be converted to C immediately or directly. Okay, so okay, next I will talk about the if statement, like more into detail, right? When you want to write a pseudocode statement in C, right, you can write like this. From the previous example, right, if the student's grade is greater than or equal to 0, then you will print passed. So in C program, you can convert that pseudocode statement into C program like this, right? If you can use if like this, and when you use if, you need to use parentheses here. Parentheses. Right. Parentheses will cover what we call relational statement. This is a relational statement, and inside the relational statement, right, after we execute this relational statement, it will come up to the result only true or false. True or false. I'm going to talk about this into detail later in the if course in C programming, but I will have to notice you that for the C programming, false will return an integer 0, but true will return any integer except 0. Okay, it could be 1 or it could be -1. that could be true. Okay, it depends on the compiler, but normally we return 1 in order to represent true. But false, it will return 0. For this way, if the value stored in grade is greater than or equal 60, this program will print passed. But you can see this, right? If you could remember, \n means new line. This is a new line character. Carry age return line free. Carry age return and line free. Do you know what I mean? Carry age return means from the current position, it will go to the first column of this line. For example, carry age return means to go from this one. If this is the first character of this line, right? Carry age return means from this current position or cursor. The cursor will go to this at the beginning of the line, and line feed means the cursor will go to the next line. This carry age return line feed can be used in the past, like when you use the typewriter, right? Typewriter, you can use the carry age return and then line feed and go to in order to type the next character, the next line. Okay, and this one will represent \n. As you want to print out not only to the screen, right? You just want to print the character to maybe to the laser printer or the dot matrix printer. Right? You need to know that this will convert to the carry age return line feed. And if you want to go into more detail, right? If you are a good programmer, carry age return is a character. ASCII code is 13. And line feed is a character of ASCII code 10. ASCII code. And in this way, C code corresponds closely to the C code. What does it mean by this? It means that if you write pseudo code, it can be converted into C programming directly. Okay, the next flowchart symbol that you need to know, that is the diamond symbol, or we can call decision symbol. This is the diamond symbol. We use diamond symbol here to represent the decision, right? Like in this way, you can write grade, right? Grade is greater than or equal to 60. Okay, the diamond symbol will indicate decision, and it contains an expression that we use that can be true or false. I've talked this already. And diamond symbol will test the condition, right? If it's true, it follows the appropriate path. Okay, the next slide I will show the flowchart of the if selection statement. As you can see that this is the diamond, right? Diamond means if statement. If you see diamond, right, you can read like if grade is greater than or equal to 60, right? If it's true, right, print passed will be executed. And if it's false, it will go to the next statement. You can see that after we print pass, even the decision is true. This one will also go to the same place or the same segment here, right? So that's why sometimes we can call this as a connector. Okay, this is the if statement and the flow chart of the if statement, which is the diamond symbol. Okay, next. When we have if statement, right? But sometimes we need to know what will we do when the selection statement is false, right? So we are going to have the if else statement, right? If only performs an action if the condition is true, but what happens if the condition is false? So we can use if else statement. So let's see this pseudocode for the theory understanding. If student grades is greater than or equal to 60, right? Then print pass. Else mean otherwise. Print failed. Okay, so this we call if else statement, right? So, and it is noted that spacing indentation is a convention. We can use in this book, we use three bank character. Okay. So this is the way that we write the pseudocode for if else statement, right? We use indentation in order to show that this statement is when if condition is true, and if statement or an else statement here will be executed when if statement is false. Okay, here we go to the okay. This is a flow chart for this for the if else statement. If x or if grade is greater than 60, then true, and then we print passed like this. But if not, or otherwise, if grade is less than 60, we'll go to the left direction and then print fail. And then after these two execute, we have to select either true or false, okay? But right after this execution finished, we'll go to the same position, that is this connector. Okay, and then continue to the next statement as a sequential execution that I've talked to you. Okay, this we call if else statement. So normally we will use its convention. If it's true, we will go to right direction. If it's false, we will go to left direction. But if you use it exchangeably, it's not the mistake, but it's not the convention. For convention or tradition, for true, we'll go to right direction. Okay, please do like this in the examination or in the assignments. Okay, even it is a convention or tradition, right? But I need you to follow the tradition or the convention. Okay, let's go back to the good programming practice. Indent both body statement of an if else statement. What does it mean by if both body? So when you write if like this, right? If okay, and then if you have more than one pin, like pin A, pin B, pin C, right? You have to indent all of this if you want to make it to be not just only one segment or single segment, but if you have more than one statement, you can call this as a body. Okay, if you have more than one statement, you will call it body, right? You have to indent both body segments, right? Else, right? 1, 2, 3. Like this, you have to indent both in if and else. Second, good programming practice in this page. If there are several levels of indentation, each level should be indented the same additional amount of space. Okay, if you indent the first level as 3, so the next level should be 6, the next level should be 9. So in order to make it nice. Okay, for the previous example of the pseudocode of the if-else statement, it can be converted into the C code like this, right? If grade is greater than or equal to 0, then printf passed, else printf fails. Okay, so this is the easiest way to write a program if else here. But okay, this is an extra. This is if you want to be like sophisticated programmer, right? You need to know this operator. So in order to represent this statement, you can write by using ternary. Turn is 3. Ternary conditional operator, that is question mark and colon here, right? Ternary means 3. So if you take 3 arguments, condition, value if true and value if false. So instead of writing the code like this, you can just simply write grade greater than or equal to 60, and then question mark, and then you use printf print passed, no colon. Okay, no semicolon. You have not told you this, we call semicolon, and this one we can call colon. Okay, this is a ternary argument. This is the first argument, second argument, and this one is the third argument. And this will end up this statement by semicolon. Semicolon you will use for ending up your statement. So if you want to change C code here to the more sophisticated style, so you can use this is the first argument. This is the second argument is for true condition, and the last argument will represent false condition. So instead of using 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, you can just simply use 1 line in order to represent the grade like this. So this statement, you don't have to use if else anything, right? You can just simply use like this. But if you don't understand this, you can just use this for the sake of simplicity, right? You don't have to use this. As I told you, that is just for the sophisticated programmers. What is the use of percent sign S? Okay, I will talk about this later. Okay, Suhani. Percent sign S is a conditional or is a formatted printf, right? If you want to print a string, we can use percent sign S. Okay. Next. And for the if-else statement, you can also use the nested if-else. You can use the nested if else. Nested means if else, and then you can find if else inside the if else again. Test for multiple cases for by press if else selection statement inside the if else selection statement. Once condition is met, rest of the statement skipped. Okay, you have to use the deep indentation, right? Usually not used in practice. Okay, so this is a good example of the nested if else. If you can use this in the case that you want to find the grade for a student. For example, if the student score is greater than or equal to 90, right, you print A. Else, if the student grade is greater than or equal to 80, right, then we print B. And else, if the student grade is greater than equal to 70, you can print D, right? So this we will call nested if selection statement. Nested if else. See, also you can see the indentation, right? If you write the correct indentation, you can see that this pseudocode is easily understand. It's easily understand, right? Okay, and this one can also convert into C programming. Okay, the next statement that you need to know, that is the compound statement that I have just told you that we can have the body. If you use if statement, the statement here will be one. It is a single statement. It's either one single statement or two compound statement. Compound statement means more than one statement. Compound statement can be written in terms of bases, set of statements inside bases. You can see this example. This is the bases, right? Bases. Bases. B. Bases. Okay. The compound statement will be a set of statement, statement one, statement two, right? But if you want to combine them together into one body, or we can call it compound statement. So you can use bases, beginning bases and ending bases here. Or sometimes you can think of this like one or single statement as well. Because inside this bases, like we can call this as a body, one body, or one single statement. One means one and single also means one, right? I use one single statement. So in order to indicate that it is one statement, okay, without the braces, the statement printf, you must take this course again, will be automatically execute. What does it mean? Okay, if you don't have this, what will be happened? If grade is 60, pass will be printed, and you must take this course will be also printed as well. But if the grade is 50, fail will be printed, and you must take this course again will be printed as well if you don't put these bases. Because for the if else statement, only single statement will be executed. If you don't have bases here, right, only this statement will be executed according to else statement here. That's why when the grade is 60 here, so this sentence will be printed out no matter the grade is greater than or equal to 60 or not, if you don't have this basis. You have to be careful about this. So if you really need, after else statement is false, is false, so you want to print fail, and also you must take this course again altogether. So you need to make sure that basis is put right over this body or this compound statement. Once again, basis will guarantee that this is a single statement. So that's why I say that without the basis, the statement here will be executed all the time. Not only automatically, but all the time. Okay, this is a tip in software engineering. A compound statement can be placed anywhere in a program that a single statement can be placed. A compound statement can be treated as a single statement. Forgetting one or both of bases that delimit a compound statement. Okay, this is common error that could be occurred when you can see when you omit or you forget to put the bases. Okay, sometimes the body or the compound statement can be called a block, right? This one. Sometimes we can call this as a block. Sometimes it could be if you omit or if you forget to put this one, right? It will cause the syntax or error that can be caused by compiler. Or sometimes it would be the logic error, right? Have some effect at the execution. As I told you, right? The execution will be incorrect once you can print out something that is that you miss attain, right? And then sometimes it's non-fatal error, right? Program runs but incorrect input will be printed, or sometimes it will cause fatal error, right? Program will exit or terminate automatically. So you have to be careful about using the block here, right? Don't forget to put them together. Okay. Common programming error. Placing a semicolon after the condition in end. Okay, this you have to be careful, right? When you are the beginner, like you always like if and then great and then you put semicolon here. So what does it mean? It means that this statement will not be okay. This leads to the logic error. There is no error on the compilation process, but it will have the logic error, right? So what does it mean by this, right? It will end up this, because this is the ending statement, the ending symbol of the statement, right? So this statement will do nothing. Do nothing. Okay. Error preventing. Typing the beginning and ending basis beginning is this, ending is this of compound statements before typing the individual statements within the braces helps us avoid omitting one or both of the braces. What does it mean by this? Once you write a C program, when you write this, when you write the beginning, don't forget to write the ending at the same time, right? In order to prevent forgetting writing the ending braces. Okay, and the last one, just as a compound statement can be placed anywhere, a single statement can be placed. It is also possible to have no statement at all. Or sometimes we can call empty statement. Okay, this one, we can see that it is the ending empty statement. Why is this empty statement? You can write it like this: if grade is greater than or equal to 60, right? And then empty, and then you write semicolon like this. Is empty statement. The empty statement is represented by placing a semicolon where a statement would normally be. Instead of writing a statement, you didn't write anything, you just put semicolon here. So this can be called the empty statement. That's why I just tell you that this statement is acting like empty statement or do nothing. Okay. Before we will go to the while repetition statement, I will have you to have a short break here for